I just read the coolest quote. And the reason why I'm making this a video as a post versus a story is because it's going to be longer than I can post in my stories. The quote said, "I would rather face the harsh truth than live in a sense of false peace, in a state of false peace," or something like that. Basically, I would rather face and deal with the harsh reality of a situation, warts and all, and overcome it, rather than sweep it under a rug and put on a good face. And too long in my past has that been the case, where difficult circumstances arise, disagreements, differences of opinion, and there has never been a sense of closure. There's always been the sweeping it under the rug and putting on a good face, because appearances were more important than dealing with the harsh reality of the situation. And that is how I have always tried to live my life. It has not always been the case where that has been a reality, because in reality we do live and deal with other people. But that is what I can attribute the success of my marriage to, is when difficult circumstances have arisen, John and I have always been able to face the reality of it together, to communicate and to find places of compromise, or to find places of agreeing, and work together to find solutions to overcome whatever has come our way. That is something that I can attribute to the success of my marriage, to the success of my adult life, and it is why I am unapologetically authentic. And one of the attributes that I can say that I value the most in myself is honesty. I will not put on a face if that is not something that will show authentically what's going on in my life. I mean, I will not make my problems, I don't put my problems on show. I don't complain about my life outside of John, because I definitely don't want that to be who I am to other people. There's no point in complaining about things that you can't change. And there's no sense in complaining about things that only you can change to other people. And so that is authentically who I am. So the sweeping issues under the rug thing, that is more of how other people have dealt with issues that I have found to be important. And for too long, that was how I lived my life. If I ever brought up something that I felt was a problem or felt was affecting me in a negative way, I became the problem. And so issues got swept under the rug. Apologies were never given, and appearances were more important than dealing with the problem. And so reading that quote today made me reflect on and reminded me of how long ago I made that decision to have the conversations, to have the communication necessary to work through difficult things, whether that is with a person that I'm having a disagreement with, or whether that is with myself, or whether it's with God. Have the communication necessary to work through those issues. Don't sweep them under a rug. Apologize where it is needed, and confront where the confronting is needed. And unfortunately, there are relationships in my life where I have basically learned that confronting does not bring forth the communication that I value in being able to work through issues. So unfortunately, I have to be done in those relationships on those certain things. But in the circumstances where people are willing to communicate, my relationship with those people is very strong, because I know that they value being able to work through those issues with me to build a stronger relationship. And they can take the criticism that I authentically give because they know that I will authentically take criticism where I see improvement in myself that must be made. I am ridiculously, unapologetically authentic in how I live my life, because for too long I was put in a place where appearing happy and appearing at peace was more important than my actual peace. And so I don't have time to waste anymore on pretending to feel peace where there is no peace. So that is 100% how I live my life. I would rather confront, face, and overcome the harsh reality of my wrongdoings or of other people's wrongdoings to me than to let it go and just pretend that everything's great. That's my biggest pet peeve in life, is when people are unwilling to admit fault and unwilling to change to make things better. And my whole life has been about change, and I feel weird when there is no change. I feel when I feel like I'm stuck or I'm in a rut or I don't feel accomplished or progressing in life, I spiral. I don't like the feeling of not feeling like I'm moving forward. And if there are people in my life who have me in a constant state of, you have to be this way around me, I don't like that. I don't like people putting me into the role that they have assigned me in their life, when it doesn't align with who I am, whether I have grown out of that role or whether I have changed since they have last had interactions with me. It's difficult to be in that kind of a situation. So if anyone else out there comes from or is in a situation where your needs and your concerns were always seen as contentious or overreacting or too sensitive, know that you are not alone and that you are heard right here in this video. Your needs are important, even if they are irrational. That was something that John and I worked through for a long time, was that a lot of the things that I would bring up as problems were just an irrational fear embedded in me that I just needed to work through. He would help me see very often that the fear or the anxiety that I felt about a situation that was happening in our marriage was irrational, and that we just needed to talk it out, that I just needed more information to reassure me in the fact that it was a false positive. There was nothing real to worry about. And that communication was so necessary to be able for one thing, to have a husband or a family member, being my husband, being tough enough to take that kind of criticism, knowing that it wasn't his intention to portray the kind of feelings that I interpreted from that, but to be able to communicate that through all of the irrational feelings that I had, to get to a point to say, oh, we have all the information laid out on the table now. Now we can sort it through, and now we can see that this is what was actually going on, and these were the actual intentions, and no one's ego got in the way of that. Nobody's narcissistic feelings of, I can do no wrong, I can't be seen as being wrong in any sort of way. None of that has played a role in my marriage, and I am so blessed because of that. I will live my authentic life till the day I die, because for the first half of my life I was not able to do that. And my heart bleeds for people who are still in that situation, who still cannot live their authentic life, who do not feel comfortable around certain people because they have always been put into the role that that person has assigned them to be. Face the harsh truths. Realize where you have done something wrong. Go through the process necessary to right yourself so that you can be authentic and not let your ego or narcissism get in the way of making it right with those around you. I'm sorry if you don't feel comfortable admitting that you're wrong, but there are people around you who will be done with you if you can, especially close family members, if you continue to treat them that way. If you continue to put them in a box and say, this is who you are in my life, and I will only communicate or treat you like this kind of person. Don't do that to your family members because they will be done with you. Don't do that to people who want to be close to you because they will be done with you eventually. So if you are finding that people are withdrawing from you and people are not really being who you want them to be in your life, it's probably because you will not face the harsh realities of what you have done that is wrong, which is sometimes and most often refusing to communicate, refusing to put all that information on the table so that you and that other person can sort through it and find out that neither one of you are really bad people. Neither one of you had malicious intent. You just don't communicate the same. It is okay to not communicate the same, but it is not okay to not communicate because of that. So that is my soapbox for today. And bless you if you have watched this whole video. But I felt like that is something that has been at the forefront of how I live my life for so long that it's wonderful to have a reminder of that out in the internets, that I'm not alone, that there are other people who are in this situation who are trying to overcome a lot of lost years, being able to figure out who you are and what you authentically care about. I care about communication, and I hate small talk, and I would rather scrape nails on a chalkboard than sit and pretend and have small talk and pretend that everything's great when it's not. And I will tell you if I'm having a hard time, and even if I don't, it's because, again, I don't believe in complaining about things that I can't change, and I don't believe in complaining about things that only I can change to other people. So, and that's mostly what I have to deal with in my life, are things that either I have no control over, or things that I am the only one that has control over. And so if I appear to not share problems, it's because I don't feel the need. I'm a very practical person. If I don't feel like you can help me with a problem, I'm not going to share that problem with you. And I don't need to be poked and prodded, and I don't need to share my traumas with people to connect with them. I know a lot of women do, and that's one reason why I have a hard time talking with other women sometimes, because very few. I really do have a great social circle of women because I guess I naturally am drawn to women who don't feel the need to share their traumas with people. But a lot of women do communicate that way. A lot of women need each other to buoy themselves up. And there is definitely a time and place for that, even for me. But I don't connect with people through traumas. That's not how I connect with people. I connect with people through interests, through aspirations, through goals, through shared values. That's what I connect with people through. And if honestly I don't have anything in common with you, I can still connect with you because there's always something. There's always some interest. There's always some value. There's always some humor. There's always something to connect with people on. For me, it is not traumas. It is not needing other people's help to pull myself through problems that I am the only one who can solve the problem of. Now, if I need a resource, I will tap into that. If I need your expertise, I will tap into that. I'm very resourceful, and I will definitely take advantage and be humble enough to listen to someone who has better resources and knowledge than me. But coming full circle, it's all about communication. And so if I don't have anything to say to you, it's probably because I'm just here to listen. Or it's probably because I just haven't found something in common with you yet. Or it's probably because you're emotionally dumping. And emotionally dumping is not the same as venting. Venting about something means that you just need an ear to listen to you while you process how you're going to solve a problem. I am all about venting, and I am here to listen to venting. But if all you do is complain and blame other people and refuse to see the role that you play in your own suffering, it makes it difficult to listen to. And I am here to give advice. I am here for venting. I'm here to be a resource. But just because I communicate differently doesn't mean that things can't be communicated to. So I don't know, maybe I'm going off on a tangent, but that quote really touched me today and reminded me of how important it is to communicate. And when it's difficult to communicate, it is difficult to build relationships. And if people refuse to communicate and they just care about everything being great and small talk and pretending that nothing has ever gone wrong, that's when I don't feel authentic, and that's when I don't feel comfortable. So I hope you guys can live an authentic life. Please take it from me. It is the only way to live. It is the only way to have a strong, loving relationship with a spouse, a family member, a dear friend, your coworkers. Communicate in the most authentic way that you can, honestly, and accept fault. There is nothing more attractive in a relationship. I'm not talking about romantically, but there is nothing that will attract people to you more than owning your own mistakes and apologizing for them and having the communication in place that shows that you are willing to listen and that you are willing to find common ground, to find the place of compromise with that person that you so desperately want to build a relationship with. Again, not just romantically, but with anyone that's in your life. Live authentically. Love those around you. Listen to them. And listen to yourself. That's my soapbox for today.